Hey, this is Chris Less Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. InRavio.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, your host of Nerdgasm, Dave Campfield.
Shut up! Listen, I don't like you and you don't like me. And the only reason that I'm up here right now is because I'm contractually obligated. Because you get, God forbid, you have a late night talk show host that doesn't open with a stupid monologue. You know, you think after 40 years the whole format would have gone stale by now. Speaking of going stale, how about that Final Destination series, huh? What are we on, like Final Destination 10, 12, 15? At what point, how many times can a guy die? I mean, seriously. You know, when I go like, death is a serial killer, really? Dude, most people's cases, I guess death's just walking up behind you for like a long, 95 years. Don't look behind you, he might get you when you're 98. But no, unless you're me, in which case, you know, death will tap me on the shoulder at about age 150 after I've scored with more women than Warren Beatty. You know what I'm saying, man?
Oh. Boo. Terrible. Oh, man. Shite. Terrible, man. Oh, man. That's rubbish.
That guy's got a gun.
But Dave's not here yet. Dave's dead? Sweet. I guess that means I am going to be the host.
Wait, I'm fine. Oh, okay, that was really rough. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of Nerdgasm. I'm not dead. That was a close one. Apparently, we got to be very careful about who we let in the studio. Tonight's topic is Final Destination. Our guest will be Jeffery Reddick, the creator of the Final Destination series, the man who thought it up. And my panel consists of Dan Kelly from Boys, Bears, and Scares, Nelly Nells from, I don't know where the hell she's from, and Debra, and I don't know where Debra's from either. So thank you for tuning in tonight. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. But I'm going to start things up. Just when we get back from a commercial break in a few minutes, we're going to be beginning our discussion with Jeffrey. But I would like to discuss very briefly your thoughts as far as what you like about this as a series. I mean, this is my horror panel. All of these people are horror, aficionados. What is it about this series that speaks to you before you go into the specific installments?
Okay. Well, what I really like about it, I sort of find it kind of more like a comedy type of horror, because I laugh when people die in movies. I think it's hysterical.
As long as you don't laugh when people die.
Like Cabin in the Woods, I loved.
Well, that is a comedy, though. It's
So.
a comedy horror. But do you look at the Final Destination series? Pretty much comedy horrors?
Yeah, I kind of do.
For me, I love the intricacies of all the death. And I love that there's not an actual character that plays death. I like the fact that it's a series of events, a series of unfortunate events. It's just very cool. I like that whole aspect of it.
Although you could say that Tony Todd, right, sort of plays death.
I think he's more kind of like not the Reaper, but like...
Death's agent?
Yeah, more like that. Because he's not like a Reaper. He's kind of trying to warn you, but it's not him causing it.
You sound like Tony Todd when you went, yeah.
Yeah, you could like be part of the family of Tony Todd. You got that sultry kind of voice there. Dan, what is it on a basic level that you respond to?
It's the campy deaths. I definitely like it. And they just keep trying to top themselves, with every new installment. So, and I don't think I think the first episode, the first in the series was not as much of a comedy. I think it got more.
Which
most
tends to be,
franchises
most franchises definitely go more in the direction of comedy. Now tonight, after our Jeffery Reddick interview, we're going to be giving you an illustration of how we all plan of dying, and then we're going to dissect the series. So I hate to go to commercial so soon into the program, but we got a delay because I was almost murdered, and that obviously set us back just a little bit, so I apologize for that. So when we get back from our commercial break, we are going to have Mr. Jeffery Reddick, the creator of the series, thought this up, his brainchild, as our guest. So please come on back in just a moment for a very special guest. You're watching
InRavio.com. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris and Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural.
And organic.
But strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there. And we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. InRavio.com.
Okay, welcome back to Nerdgasm. I'm Dave Campfield. I'm still alive, and my guest tonight is Mr. Jeffery Reddick. Now, Mr. Reddick, I've been aware of your work for a very long time now, and you're the brainchild of this whole Final Destination series. So you're also credited with other writers on the first movie, so how much of what you wrote is what the movie wound up being?
Quite a bit of it. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. Just wanted to make sure. A lot of the framework of the movie is still the same. the setup, the desk design thing is still the same. The biggest change that James Wong and Glenn Morgan came up with, that James Wong was the director of the film, and Glenn Morgan, his writing partner, is they did change Death's MO. And I actually do give them all the credit for this, because I think it made it kind of really cool and more grounded, in that they came up with the whole Rube Goldberg device that Death, like something falls into something, falls into something, falls into something. And my original draft of the script, I'm a very big Nightmare on Elm Street fan, and in my original draft of the script, since Death messed up the first time, it basically played mind games on the characters and played with their guilt and forced them to kill themselves. But they were very similar. Like in the film, Todd, Alex's best friend, hangs himself in the gets hung in the shower. And in my script, he rigs up a noose in the garage at home, and when his father comes home and opens the garage, he hangs himself. He hangs his son. So there's a lot of parallels in the movies, but the whole Rube Goldberg angle kind of changed, the way the deaths played out.
And as you see the series progress into like a lot of different sequels by a lot of different filmmakers, I mean, is it almost like someone took your baby and walked away with it and is raising it on their own? Does it resemble anything that you started with? Are you shocked to see or surprised to see the direction that the series goes in?
Oh, not really. I've been involved, I worked at the studio, New Line Cinema, that produced the film. So I worked there for 11 years. So I definitely knew kind of how things, worked in Hollywood. And I know that once you kind of sell your project, it's not yours any longer. But I was very fortunate to sell the story for the second one as well. And Eric Bress and J. Mackie Gruber did a great job. They came in and actually took it more in a fun direction. And I actually think that was a brilliant move, because I think the horror movies need to be fun. Like, I don't like to see people getting tortured, or I don't like to see real death, and dismemberment. I just like to watch it on film, and I enjoy it. And so they took the basic outline that I had, but they expanded the story and made it more fun, made the second script more fun. And Craig Perry and Warren Zeit are producers on the project, and I'm really close with Craig, and he's kept me very kind of involved and in the loop as the film's progressed. So I've kind of, it's in very good hands. It's like I gave the script off to a very great guy in Craig Perry, and he's taking good care of it. And Eric worked on the second film and the fifth film, and James Wan worked on the first film and the third film. So it's kind of been the same kind of group of people until this last one, until the fifth one. And they brought in some new guys, and I think actually the fifth one was really strong. So I think it's again, Craig Perry's kind of the shepherd of the ship, and he loves the franchise, and he's a great producer. So I'm not really worried about it at all.
Okay, now, you have a very interesting backstory yourself, and that's, as a kid, your introduction to New Line Cinema was that you sent a unsolicited script to, I believe it was Bob Shea. It was a prequel to Nightmare on Elm Street, because you were some hardcore horror junkie, like pretty much everybody on the show. And I was wondering, and that wound up opening up a door, even though it was a big faux pas, but I guess because you were young enough and you just explained yourself well enough, he's like, all right, I'll take a shot on this guy. But do you recall what your treatment was?
I was 14 years old, and I saw the first Nightmare on Elm Street, and it's still the most influential movie in my life. And I wrote a prequel treatment, like a 12-page story that was, and to be honest, all I can remember about it was that Freddie was a janitor at the school, and he was murdering kids, and one of the kids started investigating and found out about it, and then the parents killed him and burned him alive at the end, and he came back as Freddy Krueger. But I sent it to Bob Shea, and he sent it back because it was unsolicited. And I kind of wrote him a nasty email, or a letter. Sorry, emails. We didn't have emails back then. We had horses and bags with letters in them when I was young. And told him, like, look, buddy, I've seen 3 New Line movies, and I spent like $3 on your studio, so you can take 5 minutes read my story. And he got back to me, and really, we became like pen pals. And his assistant, Joy Mann, who passed away, was like a second mother to me. Like, she took me under her wings when I moved to New York and started working at New Line. But it's so funny, because I wish I'd kept that because when you're 14, you don't realize that things that you do will pay off somehow, even in the weirdest ways down the road. And I don't know where that treatment is, and I wish I had it.
Well, stories about Spielberg crashing the Universal lot when he was 16 years old, taking an abandoned office, and people thinking that he legitimately worked there. When I was a kid, I would call up film studios and just kind of have conversations with them, giving them advice. And it's amazing that they actually don't hang up on us more often, But now, was there any... You're in well with New Line. You've worked for New Line. Now, was there ever any rumblings about possibly getting involved with the Nightmare series for you?
You know what? I did come up with a pitch for Freddy Jason, and they told me it was too dark. So it was pretty dark, but I thought it was pretty awesome.
You know, the movie itself wasn't exactly that light. So
that's funny. It ended up being dark anyway, but it still had the fun nightmare sequences in it. But I saw them go through so many writers and so many scripts came in and so many iterations of that. I mean, I think I probably saw like 15 or 16 scripts that the studio commissioned. To kind of get that off the ground, and then it ended up being kind of serendipitous that these writers came along that New Line really liked their work, and they were like, "Hey, you want to do Freddy versus Jason?" They were like, "Yeah," and so they wrote the script. And I thought it turned out fun. It was a fun movie.
You have a number of other writing credits, which includes films that there was one film on your resume that I wasn't even familiar with called Return to Cabin Lake.
By the Lake, yes.
Return to Cabin by the Lake. Now, was that? I'm assuming that was maybe the first thing you did after Final Destination, or how did that work?
That was the first project I did after Final Destination, and it was a TV movie. I'm sorry, I'm looking in the mic and looking at my reflection in the corner, trying to figure out my best angle. It was a sequel to a movie called Return to Cabin by the Lake with Judd Nelson. He starred in it, and I wrote the script, and they got the director, and they got Judd Nelson back, and I literally got a call from the producer about 2 weeks before they went in production, and said that the head of the network, USA Networks, but it's not the same head anymore, I'm sure, said that the script was too smart for the audience, and so they had one of their staff writers come in and dumb the movie down. And I think that really upset the director, because if you watch the movie now, it's shot like a comedy. Like there's like screwball noises, and it's just he shot it like a comedy basically. And I wrote a horror film, so it's kind of a funny thing because they didn't make many of the DVDs, and I go on eBay now and they're like $99, and I saw one for like $150. I'm like, man, I wish I'd had.
Is it you who's selling it? Are you making out like a bandit?
No, I wish I'd have thought about it. I didn't have the foresight back then to like.
Call me after the show. We'll work something out. We'll keep it on the down. So we have a couple questions from our panel before I get into some of your later work. But if we can cut over to Daniel Kelly in the panel. You have a question for Mr. Reddick, don't you?
Yep. Hey, Jeffrey. I have a question. So I saw you on IMDb that you directed a short film. Are you going to be doing any horror directing, like full length?
That is my goal.
Cool.
And again, I've been a lifelong fan of the genre, and I've written a lot of good scripts, and I've written some bad scripts. I don't think all my stuff is great, but I haven't seen one of my scripts fully realized on the screen like I want it to be. And so it's a little tough when you read reviews, and things that you didn't put in your script are the things that are really getting raked over the coals in all the reviews. And, so I'm like, you have to kind of prove you can direct. So I decided to direct a short, and it's based off a feature film of mine. And a producer, Andrew Van Houten, is actually working on the feature version of the script. And the short stars Rainn Wilson from The Office and Toby Hemingway from Black Swan, and he was in The Covenant. And I even got a cameo from Jane Badler, who anybody my age will know who that is. She played Diana in the original V miniseries, and was in the new version as well. And she's just been like, I'm a huge fan of her. So it's like I wanted to get her, Heather Langenkamp, and I went with her on this one for just a cameo. So the short turned out really strong. I had a great team working on it with me, and I'm just really happy with how it turned out.
Oh, cool. I love Diana. Will she be in the longer version?
There's not a part for her, but I'm going to work with her one way or the other. She was super quick, but I had the great fortune of having lunch with her. A friend of mine hooked it up, and I literally was starstruck. And this was 2 years ago. And I have met, when I worked at New Line, I met Brad Pitt and Morgan Freeman. I met a lot of big stars growing up. And I meet her, and I finally knew what being starstruck felt like. Like I'm sitting there, and I can't talk. And I'm just staring at her, and I'm embarrassing myself, and and she was so nice and lovely, and she's such a sweetheart. I'm determined to put her in something.
Did you eat a rat for lunch?
Well, yeah, she lives in Australia. She's got a singing career now. So she still does some acting, but she's a rockin' singer now. So, but yeah, I definitely want to put her in a movie. I want to put Heather Langenkamp and Robert Englund and Tony Todd. I've just got all kinds of people I want to put in movies. So,
okay.
Gotta,
we have a question from Nelly. Also from
Hi, Jeffrey. I wanted to know what kind of character was Death when you originally wrote it? Because you were saying that they took it over and kind of made it like, the Death design. Did you have it as an actual character?
No, actually, that was the hardest part of trying to set this up. Is the studio had a really hard time wrapping their head around having Death, this force be the killer. So in my version, there was never any cloaked figure with a hood and a sickle, running around. We did in the very end, we had like kind of a form take shape for a moment, but it wasn't really described. It was just like, to give it like a form for a moment at the end of the film. But throughout the whole script, it was just, it was just like the wind blowing. It's like it was in the movie, like the wind would blow and a shade would move and something would, stuff like that. But we never actually showed Death. So that was one of the toughest sells of the movie before it came out and everybody said, oh, that's brilliant. Because before that they were like, well, how can you fight Death? You can't see it, you can't touch it. So it was a tough sell, but yeah, no, Death was always just Death is a force. It's not an actual person. So that was definitely one of the things from the original, and the whole people dying in order that they would have died in the crash. All that design stuff was still part of the original film, and Death was always just kind of a force, moving behind the scenes.
And that's what I love about it. That's what I absolutely love about these movies.
So now, Jeffrey, you have from what I understand, your first interest was acting.
Yeah.
Right. So, and there's a quote on IMDb that said, Jeffrey originally dreamed of being an actor, but in the early 1990s, when non-traditional casting wasn't in vogue, he was told he was like an ethnic Michael J. Fox type.
Yeah.
Is there any validity? Oh, and actually, you were told that you would need to learn to rap or play basketball if you wanted to really be out for more roles.
Yeah, and it was very funny because growing up, yeah, my dream was to be the first biracial centerfold in Teen Beat magazine. So that was my big dream. And I, went to New York and I went to the American Academy.
And you had to settle on Fangoria, right?
I was reading Fangoria though too, so I figured I would be in Fangoria for being killed in a horror film at some point. So I was reading Fangoria back in those days too. My mom, God love her, she let me watch horror movies and read those magazines because they kept me out of trouble. But yeah, I moved to New York. I got an agent, and the Cosby Show was on the air, so there was some hope, and I was getting some background work. But my agent said I was an ethnic Michael J. Fox type, and she's like, if you rapped or played basketball, I could cast you like this, but I just don't know what to do with you. So she was, it was code talk for, I'm basically, I don't act black, and I don't, look black.
Is there
enough,
such a thing? Could someone act a skin color? I mean, it's impossible. The skin color is the skin color. It's cultural.
Yeah, and then the Cosby Show got canceled, and then I'm like, well, there goes my only shot of acting. So I decided to write full time.
But are you getting back to acting?
You know what? I've done cameos. I did a cameo in Tamra. I played a doctor in that, and I did a cameo in Day of the Dead. I actually did a cameo in Final Destination, but that's the only scene that the director chose not to put on the DVD deleted scene.
Wait a sec. Let's be honest. You were originally cast as the Tony Todd role, and then they said we're going for somebody a little more menacing.
No, I loved, and that's another great thing. I love Tony Todd to death, and I love Candyman, and so when they got him in the movie, it was amazing. I could never fill his shoes. Tony Todd.
Most people can't. He's like 8 foot tall.
No, he's awesome. I see him a lot, and he's just a great, wonderful guy. So.
We have a question from Timmy Packer Timmy Packer in the chat room, and that is, do you have any intention on returning to the Final Destination series in some way or another?
You know what? I've talked to the producer. My main interest would be in changing the kind of way that death kills people. That's what I would love to come back and kind of, because they reboot things all the time, and I think this is a franchise that you could reboot and just say death has a new design. And my screen just went black. Hang on a second. Okay, I don't know if it went black on your end, but I'd love to come back to it and kind of maybe reboot it in a way so that it's not the same exact formula.
Right.
but studios definitely like to kind of play it safe and and do the they like if they say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if I come back to it, I'd love to kind of come back and reboot the franchise and kind of try something new with it.
I found, like, just in closing, I dealt with New Line Cinema when I was a kid. Not quite as young as you were, but I found that they're a much more accessible company. When you try to hit up some of the other companies in the 1990s, you definitely hear the door getting slammed in your face very quiet. I mean, very loudly. Whereas, I was able to take meetings with them, and I had progressive conversations, which wasn't possible. They seem to have been a much more open-minded studio pre, their explosion with Lord of the Rings. But I mean, it seemed like you had a similar kind of experience yourself. Whereas that.
Well, honestly, it was before they got bought out by Time Warner, and then it started becoming more corporate. You know what I'm saying? Like New Line, back when I was there in the heyday, they were a very maverick kind of independent studio. And Mike DeLuca was there. He's a great executive. I idolize the guy. I'm not kissing butt here. I really do. Because he would push movies through like Blade or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles or Dumb and Dumber and things that people would be like, well, that doesn't make any, market research says that won't make any money. And Mike DeLuca would be like, this will make money if you make it, trust me.
And now you look at the sequel for Dumb and Dumber, it's not New Line anymore, it's Universal, because probably New Line's doesn't take the chances that they had back in the mid-90s when they were greenlighting stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, Warner Brothers kind of absorbed them, and so they laid off a lot of the New Liners. So it's just an odd thing. All I know is, like, I worked in the New York office, and I know they got rid of the entire New York office, which was like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people. And there's some good friends of mine that still work there, but it's not the company it was. It's just so much smaller now, and that independent spirit. As the studios merge and smaller companies get absorbed into the bigger ones, they just get corporate. That's just kind of the way the business world works. And you see a lot of the studio films now are remakes or sequels, or they have to be based off a comic or a book or an existing property. So was
there ever a chance that this Final Destination was going to break out into other franchises like comics, like television shows, or any of that?
Was a comic. My friend Mike Calvoda actually did them, and there were a series of books, novelizations that came out. I didn't find out about them until like the fifth one.
What?
Yeah. Welcome to Hollywood. So somebody's like, yeah, have you read the new Final Destination book? I'm like, I didn't know there was an old Final Destination book. And yeah, you know what? I have people ask me about a TV series all the time, and I had some thoughts on how to maybe do it as a series. I think it would make a fun TV series, but it
would be like Dr. House with horrible endings every week. His patients never survive in this show. So we're going to take it over to Debra Hill right here. He's got something to say. Thank you so much, Jeffrey, for tuning in.
Of course.
And I will catch you soon enough. Thank you for being such a wonderful guest.
Bye, Jeffrey.
Hi.
Bye now. Bye.
All right, I just wanted to thank our viewers. We have so many of them from all over. We got from New York, Georgia, Ohio, California, Idaho, Alabama, Massachusetts, and Hawaii. Thank you so much to all of our viewers. And we'll be right back after this commercial.
InRavio.com. For over 60 years, Hanson Carpet has put the customer first, providing only the finest quality products and service. And Hanson Carpet is so much more than just carpet. We also carry a wide selection of window blinds and shades, and our licensed and insured technicians can service any of your flooring or window covering needs. Browse our huge selection of laminate, carpet, linoleum, vinyl, and tile. Stop by our showroom today or visit HansonCarpet.com. No matter what your project, Hanson Carpet has got you covered.
Hey, this is Chris and Jake, and if InRavio.com spots you at an event wearing this bracelet, they will give you $100.
Transmission of lice occurs from being in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Like catching a cold or a flu.
You have guaranteed peace of mind in every bottle of Got Lice because all of our products are completely natural.
And organic.
But strong enough to cover all your lice removal needs while being safe and effective. Our professional technicians are specially trained with our exclusive proven technique to successfully comb out head lice. We come right to your home at your convenience.
Whenever you want us.
We bring everything needed to perform a successful and complete comb out while eliminating your head lice. And we leave you with our exclusive complimentary products to use for the next 10 days following our treatment.
For free.
Our technicians also check all family members who have been exposed to lice. Please visit us on our website today at gotlice.co or feel free to call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 646-257-0121.
The world of advertising has changed. Radio, TV, and newspaper revenues have declined drastically. Why? Because businesses have realized that advertising return on investment isn't what it used to be. So what can we do about it? Well, that's easy. Advertise online. Own a local restaurant, real estate agency, or even a national retail chain? Whatever your business, InRavio can get your message out there, and we can do it at a fraction of the cost. Call today and see the difference for yourself. This isn't TV. This isn't radio. This is InRavio.com. InRavio.com.
Welcome back to Nerdgasm. So, we're going to go right into our question of the week. And this week, our question is, how are you going to die? Nelly, I'd like to know how you are going to die.
I'm probably going to die LARPing. I do that a lot. It's a very physical activity, and where I do it, it's actually out in the woods, and there's tons of land back there. I'm probably going to end up falling down something and getting impaled. Or...
Did you bring a picture?
There might be a picture.
All right, yeah. Specifically asked all you to bring pictures of your own death. All right. I can't. I don't have any indication what's going on in the show here. So maybe the picture's showing right now, maybe it's not. Now, Debra, I would like to hear about your impending death.
Well, my favorite author is Stephen King, and we all know he likes to write about some creepy stuff. I don't know, maybe one of his characters comes out of his book and gets me.
Okay. And now, I bought a clip of my own death. In about 2015, Monsanto will be manufacturing ginormous guinea pigs that will overtake the world. I will be one of the casualties of the piggy takeover. Can we show that clip? Stay back from me! Yeah, I don't even remember when I was born anymore. Daniel Kelly, you have some clip of your own death as well.
I do.
Am I not mistaken?
My dream is to die in my Dan cave and have my husband just seal up the top of the steps in the basement and let me be in there with my stuff for the rest of my life. So I have a video.
Oh yeah, let's show the video of your death.
Hey everybody, whoa, I almost had a near-death experience tonight. So me and my hubby, we went to a bar, right? And little did we know, it was singles night at this bar. So I end up underneath a pile of horny men, right? And luckily my husband was there to pull me out and save my life. So, whoa! I almost just got killed by a dart! God, this is a bad night for me. So anyway, this poor, thin, chubby chaser Schmo got stuck second in line and he got creamed. But luckily I was saved. So I just came home. I think, it's been really scary. So I think I just need to unwind and just stay home where it's safe, Whoa! A knife just flew out of nowhere and almost killed me! This is insane. I don't know what's going on tonight. Wow, anyway. Meow! Oh, poor kitty cat. Well, that's really kind of weird because we don't even have a cat. But anyway, so I'm just going to select one of my movies. We got tons of movies, horror movies. Of course, horror movies. So I just got to pick one of my horror movies to watch and unwind and relax in the safety of my house. I was thinking, since maybe the Final Destination movies, what is going on here? This is crazy. Something just flew off the shelf of my horror wall. This is insane. I don't know. Whoa! Another one! What's going on? Something really scary is happening. Oh my God, so please, I don't want another one of my movies to fall off. This is crazy. Wow. Okay, let me see. Let me just see my Final Destination movies are missing. Where are they? Where are they? What's going on? Oh my God. Whoa!
Good deaths, everybody. Very impressed. We're creative. Nobody just dies of old age here. We'll all be dead within the next 2 years. So now we're going to go into our reviews, our discussion of Final Destination. And because this is the only film that I'm fresh on, because I'm going to really let you guys take over for this conversation. I want you to discuss it, what you like, what your favorite installments, what your least favorite, one from top to bottom, a dissection of the series. If we can throw up the logo for the first Final Destination on the screen. I'm going to say that the first 25 minutes of this film, right until the plane explodes, to me, is almost like the best Twilight Zone episode that's ever been produced. If you were to just lop off that end, lop off the everything that follows after the 30-minute point, it's almost like a self-contained movie that's different than what follows. And that to me is actually, I think, the brilliance of the film. Is that whole segment is like the best of Hitchcock, the best of Twilight Zone altogether, mixed with a score by Shirley Walker, I believe, who did a lot of orchestral work under Danny Elfman. It was done so well, and that's what my takeaway from the series. I having not seen it for some time, but I just remember how strong the setup is, and I have not seen what followed since then. But that's when the show really goes off in your direction. So Daniel, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the first and how it wound up comparing to so much of what followed.
The first one to me, what I really like about it is that it's almost like the game Mousetrap. Remember the board game Mousetrap?
Vaguely.
Because every time
I love that game.
you think they're about to die one way, like something new moves and a rope is pulled and something drops, and just like in my video when the knife dropped on the rope. Mousetrap was like that. Like everything, it's never what it looks like, and you get snagged by something different than you expected, and that's what I actually like about the first one. It was really, I think it was the most complex of them that had that kind of a setup. Yes, I can definitely agree with that. Each kill. The other kills were a little more direct in the later ones. Yeah.
Nelly?
I remember actually seeing this movie for the first time in the movie theater with a bunch of my friends. And then the whole design of it I thought was amazing. I loved the fact of all the little nuances of death. And the shower, I think that's my favorite one, my favorite death from the first one, because it was so intricate just for him to hang himself. And everyone would have really believed that he hung himself, just the way the wire goes and the water like slips back. And I thought it was absolutely amazing. I really thought it was the coolest use of death and the coolest use in a horror movie.
What's cool, Jeffery Reddick is obviously going for something that was to break the mold. I mean, we all know that these films are about fear of death and something that represents death going after you. I mean, he made it a more literal version of your standard slasher film. And he needs like major points for being one of the first people in a very long time that came up with something new and fresh and ultimately iconic. Now, Deb, you just rewatched this series, like in full. So, what were your thoughts as you rewatched part one?
I mean, I love the first film because it sets everything up. It's really crazy just watching how death just goes through all of them and gets them all in the same order that they would have died on the plane. It's just everything about it I loved. So.
Everything about it?
All right. I'll give you that.
I mean, I don't even love everything about the very best movie I've ever seen in my life, On the Waterfront. I can make something, but everything, wow. Impressive. You like that movie? I asked you guys to come up with some Final Destination trivia. Did you live up to my expectations, or will you have horribly disappointed me? You have Final Destination trivia? Let's go. Let's start with you,
trivia,
Debra.
I have a fun fact.
Fun fact about Down. Okay, yes. Let's hear all your fun facts about Final Destination.
I have 2 of them. All right, I'll do this one. All right.
I like catching everybody unexpected so then they can pause awkwardly and think, oh, shoot, what am I supposed to do? Take it away, Debra.
All right, so there was actually a comic book series with Final Destination, and it was entitled Scarface, A Sacrifice, sorry. And it was...
Dyslexia much.
Apparently, that was,
I really am dyslexic.
apparently Jeffery Reddick just found out about that as well.
It's entitled Sacrifice, and it was published by Xenoscope Entertainment and packaged with a limited edition DVD of Final Destination 3, sold exclusively at Circuit City. Whoop-de-doo.
Really?
Which doesn't exist anymore.
And then
Right, there's no
Xenoscope
more
even...
Circuit City.
Because Circuit City died.
Yeah, they did.
Circuit City hit its final destination. Now, Nelly, what fun fact do you have? Wait, you have a second one, or was that both?
Well, there's actually like a second part to that.
Okay, let's hear that second part.
Yeah, because then Xenoscope also later released 5 more issues, like in a mini-series called Spring Break. And they also, it was later released also as a paperback trade collection series.
Cool.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Very cool.
Okay, now, Nelly?
The Stony Brook Institution, where Clear Rivers was held, and the second one was also the same institution in Halloween Resurrection.
Very cool. Very cool. And now, Daniel, don't disappoint me, Daniel. This
No,
better
I
be
won't
interesting.
disappoint. And since I'm from Boys, Bears, and Scares, mine are kind of gay. So I have 2 of them. First, Corey Monteith, the late Corey Monteith of Glee, had a small part in the 3rd one with the roller coaster. And Ashley Tisdale from the High School Musical movies, she auditioned for 3 of the sequels,
Yep,
and she didn't make
2, 3,
it into
and
any of them. She never got into it.
Well, she survived, so she went from the most dangerous high school in America to the safest one in High School Musical. So it worked out for her.
She was in Scary Movie 5. They threw
she
her up.
was. Now, I got a little trivia for yous. Which installment of Final Destination grossed the most in the theaters? You don't know that, do you? Actually, it's not you.
I'm going to go for 3.
Box office? Wait.
I would,
3.
the first 3D one. That's the first 3D one, I'd say.
No.
No,
Well,
it's
good
number
guess.
3.
First 3D.
Yes,
I
I
think
know, I'm
3 and
saying
4, 4
3.
and 5 were 3D. Right?
It's actually the 4th one, so Deborah's got it wrong. Okay, Deborah got it right. It must have something to do with the fact that it was the first. But wasn't it Final Destination 3D?
The 4th.
Yeah, the
Final
4th one was Final
Destination
Yeah, the 3rd
in
one.
3D.
Yep.
Okay, well,
That's why I was sort of
the
right,
Final
'cause I said it was the
Destination-
3D one.
The fourth in the series made the most money, made approximately $66.6 million. And which installment made the least?
5.
Yes, Daniel Bailey got it. Okay, so we've discussed Final Destination 1, so now let's get right into 2. Man, they're so good in Control. You see how fast they are with changing the logos on the bottom of the screen there? Okay, you do it.
I do it. The second one. I don't love the second one. The second one started to get into the camp, but it was still pretty serious. I like that Ali Larder came back. Tony Todd was back. That was cool. And it was definitely like a direct sequel. It wasn't there was this sort of last year something happened, but then they brought in characters from the first one, which later on they don't really, other than Tony Todd, nobody else really returns to the series. So, because everybody usually dies. So, but yeah, it wasn't. The highway scene was pretty cool. That was a cool opening, but it wasn't one of my favorites.
So it didn't do it for you, right?
No, it wasn't campy enough yet. They really,
But the first one managed to work for you minus a lot of the camp.
because it
'cause it
was
was
fresh.
new.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the second
And
one
2
was
was
kind
sort
of a
of just
rehash.
a retread
Yeah.
for you. All I remember was that there was a really attractive woman who smoked this really long, slender cigarette, and she was attractive. That's all I remember. It's been so long since I've seen it. That's why they're totally going to be taking over the show tonight. Now, Nelly, take it away. Final Destination 2.
2, I also wasn't that fond about,
Okay, this is
actually. I was like, whatever. What made the movie for me was when they killed Ali Lauder, because I was like, she was supposed to die. I hated the fact that she got to live. One of my main reasons for seeing the first one was Devon Sawa. Okay, I used to love him. He was all over my walls when I was in high school. And he died for her.
So did his
She got to
career.
live.
The bam.
She got to live? No, not into it. So 2 wasn't one of my favorites. How about you, Deborah?
No, I I actually do agree. It really wasn't one of my favorites. Like, I liked like you said, the opening scene with the highway accident. Like, that was really crazy with all the graphics and stuff. But other than that, it really didn't do it for me.
That was actually the best part of it. I mean,
Yeah.
visually, it was
The
really
would you say
visually
that
stunning.
the opening of all of these films are the best parts of them,
fantastic.
for the most part?
Yeah.
Because it's almost like they have to grab you right away. It's like the opening of a Bond film where they got to open up with something explosive, and then pretty much set up everything. Was there an opening of any of the films that wasn't quite like that broke the mold a little bit, where it wasn't just
The
mass
fifth
carnage?
one,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
it
was
just
gonna
took a
say.
little while.
Yeah,
Like,
it
they
took a
set
little
it up
while. It built
first,
up.
and then they showed you the premonition.
So as an audience member, you're like, when's it going to happen? When's
Yeah.
it going to happen? Now it keeps you more on the edge of your seat. Okay, Final Destination 3. Everybody seemed to have been disappointed in 2. Tell me about 3, which I haven't seen any of.
3 is my favorite.
Really?
I
I'll have to
I
go
absolutely
and
love
That's a good
3. To this day, every time I get on a roller coaster, I see that scene. I'm like, all right, hopefully I'm not going to die this time. But I liked the whole premise of the amusement park. They had the hardware store, which was amazing. I love that, the deaths in that one. There was, what was the other one that was really good? I can't think of it.
The train crash.
The train crash, yes. And when they're trying to,
That
and
was
the
almost as good
seatbelts
as
were
an
all
opening.
stuck. Yes.
That was almost as big as one.
Yeah,
of the
it was.
openings.
They were also like 3 was my favorite out of the whole series.
Okay, now Deb, are you on the same page? Are you going to let Nelly influence you? Are you going to say 3 is your favorite too because your best friend said 2 is 2? 3?
It's not one of my favorites. Like, well, I mean, it's one of my
Ooh,
favorites.
being a rebel here.
Well, I like this one a lot. I mean, I never liked roller coasters to begin with, and this just really set it into it. All right, I'm never going on a roller coaster. I am not going to have that happen to me. So, but
So
I did
basically,
really like.
this
I
movie
liked
was
this
to
one.
roller coasters what Jaws was to the ocean.
Yeah,
Because you both were like, it's not that movie, but I'm not getting on.
well, it's
a
like the
roller
first one with the planes too.
No, I still get
I'm
on
so
them.
scared of planes.
I mean, this series will make you afraid of everything. I'm not getting on an airplane. I'm not going on a roller coaster. I'm not going driving. Okay,
Driving, you got no choice.
That brings us to, and we're speeding along in the series here. That brings us to the 4th installment. By the way, what is it with movies that are afraid to use the number 4? There's no fast. Look, check this out. Final Destination. Add a V to the front of it. Suddenly, it's the 4th sequel. Take away the V, and suddenly it's the 4th Fast and the Furious for me. The Fast and the Furious versus Fast and Furious. Final Destination versus the Final Destination. Don't be afraid to use the number 4.
I
what's your thoughts on the series?
I think that maybe the use of the or the was that it was supposed to be the final
Yeah, how'd that work
destination.
out?
I mean, but then of course it made the most money, and then they were like, all right, we're going to make another one. Actually, I think this is my favorite one.
Really?
I love the car race. They're at a car race in the beginning scene.
Right.
This premise is at a car race. So I love the car race scene. It's the first one. Well, the third one had boobs. That was the first one to have boobs. So there was a tanning salon, and then this one actually had a sex scene, which none of the other ones dared to go to the sex scene. And then a guy gets his butt sucked into a filter, a pool filter, a hot guy. So I kind of like that one.
A butt death?
Yeah. A filter gets stuck on the filter. It's tush. It gets
Death by pool filter? What is
Everything
this? I'm having a hard time
I know,
visualizing
one of the trivia things about Final Destination is that that's really happened to somebody. It happened to a child.
Powerful.
It really happened to a child. It's a true story.
That is absolutely awful.
Well, there's lots of things that they used that were true stories for like each of the different movies. Like in the first one, they used most of the footage from Flight 800, the TWA flight.
That's right. That was a Long Island thing. We
Yeah.
were on Long Island.
Like-
the incident on the airplane in the first movie was based a little on an incident that happened
Yeah.
on Long Island. So many years ago.
Yeah.
But your feelings as far as this installment in the series?
This one I can kind of take or leave. It wasn't one of my favorites. I don't know, like for whatever reason, 2 and 4 don't do it for me.
Did you see it in 3D?
Didn't see it. in 3D.
I saw it in
Maybe I should have
3D. It
saw
was
it in 3D.
awesome.
Yeah, I saw it in 3D. But I only saw it on my TV in 3D. I didn't see it.
Oh no, I saw it. in
See, maybe
theaters.
that was
I
the
saw it in
reason.
theaters, cool.
I love 5 though.
Okay. There's a question from Timmy Packer in the chat room. I think it's regarding, is it Final Destination 3? And I'm not sure if I'm going to remember the question right. He will probably chime in the right moment. But he was asking if Tony Todd did a voice in Final Destination 3. It was like a voiceover.
Yes.
On the Carnival roller coaster ride.
Right.
He did the voice of the devil.
Yeah, there's
The
like
voice of the devil.
over the doorway when you walk into it. There was a
Yeah, there's a big
hat.
devil like announcing the ride, and he did the voice of
That was
that.
Tony Todd's voice.
There you
He
go,
wasn't
Tony.
in the movie, but
There you go. There's your answer.
he was filming like Transformers or something.
Now, Deborah, your review of Final Destination. By the way, we have all the movies right here. Someone grab them, hold them up, display. Deborah was nice enough to bring them in. Let's all hold an edition. Give me one. That's the only one I really know well. Okay, cool. You just hold these up for the rest of the show.
Backwards.
Balance it on your head. Okay.
1, 2.
Now. Oh yeah, are we pretty much in order?
But backwards.
Now, now, Deb. 4, you rank 1. What's your fave?
This one wasn't. It was okay.
It's just okay. I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Well, I mean, I love the fact that it was in 3D. Because I went and I saw it with my dad, and we were like trying to catch all the stuff that was flying around because there was a fire in the end. So like trying to because you felt
That's
like
like what you do when you're a kid and you're at Epcot Center and you're like, wow, that looks so real. And you're like, then
Well, I'm a big little kid. What do you want from me? I was like, oh, I can grab it.
And then when you get to a certain age, you're like, I'm not going to bother trying to grab it. I know it's not real.
What age is that?
What?
Because I haven't reached it yet.
12. You know, like, I'm just not reaching out. That's all the way down. It's fake. So you weren't that crazy. Okay, so now let's start with you as we go into the Final Destination, the follow-up to the Final Destination.
This one?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean, I really like this one. This was like one of my favorites because it really brought the whole series together. Like, it just made everything, like, it was just one after the other, and like, you'd think that this would be like the end, and it's more like the beginning, if the way I see it.
All right. Well, these are bullet point reviews because our interview went longer. Usually be a little more probing, but for the sake of getting it all in, Nelly, let's move on to you.
All right, so with 5, but again, I'm reading what Deborah said. I liked that it all came together, and the fact that I didn't catch it. I usually catch things like that in movies, that there's something going on that was before the first film, that was more like a prequel. I didn't catch it to the very end, and I was like, oh my God, they're on Flight 180, oh my God. Like,
you ruined it for me.
If you haven't seen it yet, Dave, then sorry, Charlie.
I know, but the thing was, this is the only episode of Nerdgasm. We've done like 475 episodes at this point. It's the only one where I didn't have a chance because I was in pre-production on another film. I didn't get to review them all. I'm sorry. And now Final Destination 5 is spoiled for me. But
It's still awesome.
Okay,
It's really good.
It's still worth watching.
And their bridge scene that they have is amazing.
They're playing bridge?
It's so long.
No, like
a bunch of old people die playing bridge?
And there's so many people on this bridge, and they all still manage to die in very different ways. You're like, wow, like somebody gets crushed by a car, and then there's somebody that gets like these rods thrown through their eyeballs. Somebody gets split in half. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, the Mothman Prophecy started the amazing bridge death scenes. There was a bridge scene in the Mothman Prophecies that was terrifying. You're gonna ask me,
right? Yeah. Now it's your turn. How do you rank this?
No, I didn't. I know it tied up the series, but I didn't totally love it. I liked the bridge scene. I guess the series was starting to wear thin at that point, and they threw in a new little twist. Tony Todd is back, and he says that basically, you kill somebody else and you get their life. So in order to make it not the same old plot again and again, they decided that was the new twist. I don't know. What did you guys think of that twist?
It was interesting.
I like that twist. Yeah. I would totally kill you to live. Just so you guys know.
Just do it in my basement.
Okay, so now we've touched on all of the different films. How are you going to rank them from top to bottom? Best to worst, starting with you, Debra.
All right. My favorite one was the 5th one, and then 4th one comes in 2nd. Then the first one, 3rd. 3rd one in 4th, and the 2nd one in 5th. If we can follow that.
Yeah, did you just name some of those twice? Nelly, how do you rank them?
35142.
Okay.
That's how I
Kelly.
ranked them. 35142.
On me, it's 4 is the best one because of the butt sucking scene. 3 is
That is a weird reason to make a film number 1.
3 is good because there's a boob scene. So that's the second for me. The third would be number 2 because there's songs by this group called The Sounds, and they're one of my favorite bands. Then 1, and then 5.
Okay, now for me, I rank Final Destination 1 the best, and the rest of them, I don't really remember. I possibly haven't seen it, but 1 was really entertaining.
So you think it's the only one to see?
Yeah, I'm not gonna see. Like, I'm not gonna let these sequels spoil my appreciation for the first film. Jeffery Reddick wrote the first one, and I have no reason to watch any of the other ones that followed because he didn't write it. Simple as that. Now, what would you like to see in the future installments of the series?
Ooh, what I like to see.
I should have asked you that ahead of time, so you could prepare for that answer.
That's a tricky question.
Ice Death? We have an Ice Death.
This ice death. So you want but one in the Antarctic? You know, like different regions, different climates. Who's to say that these film series? Yeah, well, maybe who's to say that these films can't take place in different regions? Maybe a whole installment could take place in Antarctica with a bunch of penguins. Who says penguins are exempt?
It would be nice if there was one where they didn't have somebody have a premonition. Why does somebody always have a premonition about it?
Because they survive, and then therefore they become that person that's out of the loop, and then they.
No, but they have a premonition before it happens. They have a premonition that it's going to happen, and they're the one who always warns everybody. So then they're looked at as like the psychopath because they knew it was going to happen. But that happened, right? That was everyone.
Yeah, everyone. Somebody has a premonition.
Okay, well. That about wraps up this edition of our 3rd horror edition of Nerdgasm. Sorry we were late today. You see this little accident that I had right here? It really slowed us up. You know, technical problems, what are you going to do? So next week, we're going to be dealing with more summer movies, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and all of this great stuff that we haven't touched on yet, 22 Jump Street. So make sure to come on back, and I won't die next time. Promise. Thank you so much for tuning in. Debbie, Nelly,
Debra,
Danny. I'm adding Davey. I'm adding Y's to the end of all your names. There's nothing wrong with that.
She doesn't like
catchy.
I got a thing with Debbie. I don't like it.
Yeah, she doesn't
Debra.
like being called Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie. And Nelly. So thank you for tuning in this week. We hope to see you really soon. Whoa.
Oh, there she is.
eatradio.com.